Okay, so good afternoon, good morning, everybody. Okay, so today I'm going to speak to you about a number of elements that you should take into account for your training. Okay, I will focus on observational tasks because main thing for the training is to have observational tasks and to know different types of observational tasks we can use, okay, to make your training and your observation more specific, organized, etc. So this one is a reference that I found online. Okay, it's called Observation Tasks, a workbook for student teachers. It accompanies, as is stated in here, this booklet accompanies the article in the Teacher Trainer Journal on page 7 of volume 26, number 3. Okay, and here is this is the website, okay, of this journal. Okay, I suppose you know it. So you have here, if you look here, you have, is it okay? You have tttjournal.co.uk. It's a very good one for reference and for using it, okay, for further deepening your knowledge and practice of training. So have a look, okay, so www.tttjournal, okay, .co.uk. Have a look, you look for this, okay, here it says that it accompanies the article, okay, on page 7 of volume 26. Have a look at that as well. But here I'm going to be very practical and talk about different types of observational tasks and what you could focus on using each kind of observational task. Okay? Okay, so classroom management. So you can see that it is organized depending on the, classroom management or teaching skills or interaction, feedback, evaluation. Okay, you can have observational tasks referring to each category, right? So for example, in relation to classroom management, so if you want to handle and deal with this issue in your observation, so for example, okay, one of the things you can have a look at and bear in mind in this regard is what is referred to as the teacher's action zone. Teacher's action zone. I suppose you are familiar. Anybody can recapitulate on that? Teacher's action zone. Not you. Yes, teacher's action zone. You can read, no problem. Yeah. Yes, Nadia. Yeah. What is the first word? The space given to the teacher. Yes. Inside that space, there is the action zone. So you still have to provide an answer for that. Yes. Yes. The students, yes, focuses on, yes. Anybody else? That's right. Can you repeat that again, Yunus? So, yes, you repeat that. When teaching. Yes. Yes. Anybody else? Yes, Brahim?
Can be the position of the teacher within the classroom and the distance between his or her and and the students.
Okay, yes. So it is stated in here, okay? Right. So Jackson, sorry, not Jacobson. I'm now becoming a phonologist because of my course on general linguistics. So Jackson and Lahadi, 1960, found that some students are 25 times more likely to be called on to speak in class than others. In language classrooms where students may be of different levels of ability, the fact that some students have much more difficulty answering questions than others may lead to the teacher to call on only those students in the class who can be relied upon to answer the questions in order to maintain the momentum of the class. This reinforces the teacher's tendency to direct questions to only certain students in the class. Okay, so here I think you can understand this as students, okay, especially in large groups, students in, for example, fundamental. So the teachers who are speaking, usually they focus on those in front of him or her and who are actively participating, paying attention and answering questions and giving commands, etc. So usually the teacher focuses on that. So that's the teacher's action zone, okay? By opposition to others who are in the back, okay? So depending on this teacher's action zone, you can have different types of students. You can have students who are already happy with that. Yes, let's sit in this place. They don't know that it is the action zone, but it's going on, okay? So they are happy with that. But others, they escape. Usually those who, okay, who cannot be able to answer questions, to follow the teacher, etc. So the teacher, in order to keep, okay, the momentum of the class going on and, to cover what he has to cover, usually focuses on that, okay, action zone. Yes? Class coverage, yes.
And in psychology, in education psychology, also there is a problem of insecurity inside the class that sometimes unconsciously results to some students in order to save
this is it. Yes, to maintain, to keep it. Yes.
Sometimes you tend to deviate to those students that participate a lot.
Yes, this is usually the case. It's applicable for all teachers. So, for example, one of the things you can observe in your training, first classes, is you can focus on this action zone, okay? To have an idea about it, okay? For example, this is a very good booklet that I'm going to post for you in our Facebook group, which includes a number of tasks that you can use for observing, for example, this one, the teacher's action zone. Let's go through it. For example, teacher's action zone. One of the way of handling this, okay, this is an activity. That's why it's called the practical, okay, booklet. Okay, so draw. This is you have something like this, a square, and then you can draw a seating plan of the classroom and enter the students' names next to the seats. Okay, put a tick against a student's name every time he or she is addressed. Okay? When they are engaged in pair work or group work, put a circle around the names of students who are working together. So you can focus on two levels in there. When the teacher is speaking to the students, and then students are responding, are answering questions, etc. Put what? Is it here? Draw, okay, so put a tick. Every time a student participates, put. So you're going to notice at the end that you have that action zone appearing. Yes, action zone appears with number of ticks, many number of ticks. But other places, you're going to find out one tick or, yeah. So it's one of the ways to handle this issue in an organized way. It's not enough just you sit there, yes, and then you come back and in your report, you are going to tell me, yes, this is the teacher who focuses on just this. But how did you know that? You know that there should be systematicity, okay? Scientificness, okay? You have to be scientific in the way you work. So this is one of the ways. So you can come up with this piece of sitting you draw, okay? And then you show that. So then what you could follow as a follow-up for this activity, you can discuss in your reflections, because one of the things you will be doing a lot in your training is to reflect. on what's going on, and then reflect on what you will be doing. Okay? So, for example, to what extent did the teacher succeed in involving all students in the lesson? One of the questions you could answer. It's a very helpful one. You just rely on this, and you can come up with a good report, a good portfolio where you reflect on what you're doing. Where was the teacher's, I've just finished these categories of questions. Where was the teacher's action zone? Describe that. It was in the middle, or here, or spread over what? How were the students called upon to respond to questions? The teachers, how does he manage to ask for answers? Okay, does he assign students, or does he give the floor free for freedom for the students to raise hands and then answer questions? Did any volunteer? Did the seating facilitate better group dynamics? And then you can add any questions you would like to discuss with your mentor. Mentor, who is the mentor? Inshallah, so it will be the person who will host you, the teacher who will host you in your training, okay? Yes, see, Halush?
With regard to class participation, lately in the pedagogical meetings with the inspector negative, there are some techniques which are implemented which kind of overrides this problem.
Good.
Well, one example of this is a technique which is called hands down, which is that no one is going to raise their hand even if they have the answer. It's up to the teacher to ask, to choose the students. Why? Because if there are some students who are raising their hand, the others are feeling safe not to answer. Because why? The teacher is going to choose only the people
those
who
who
are
raise
raising
hands,
their hands. Another technique is trying to choose
hands down, okay? Hands down.
Hands down
Yes.
technique. Another technique is to have each of the students know their number in the list. So the teacher does not call the name, but the number 27 is 27.
Yeah.
And this technique helps all the students to stay alert, because
Alert,
they might
yes.
be asked to answer at any
Yes,
moment.
because the teacher doesn't know the numbers, so he doesn't know, he knows the names, but doesn't know the numbers. He will be referring to numbers, so in order to deviate the escape. So this, the second one is called? Do you have the name? The first one, hands off. Second one, anyway. So we understand the perspective in there. So just to use numbers instead of names. Okay, that's a good tips. Good tips in there. So thank you. Now conditions for learning. Another element. So you have a number of things you can focus on. Okay, conditions for learning. As you observe this lesson, consider the following questions. What is there about the classroom, the activities, the teacher, and the students that helps create conditions for effective learning? So we'll try to find out these. Okay? What aspects of the lesson might hinder learning? Okay. There may be questions that you yourself would like to ask the teacher about the various decisions taken before and during the lesson. Make a note of these for post-lesson discussion. After the teacher host or the mentor finishes the lesson, you can, on the basis of your observations, you might have questions, okay, or observation. You would like to, clarifications. And then you can ask, okay, have a discussion with your mentor. So you can make something like a chart, as you have it in here, like positive factors, and then negative factors. So the classroom, and then the activities, and then the teacher, and then the students. You can choose, draw your comments and your remarks on the basis of each category. And then you can have this for further reflection. Classroom dynamics is another area where you can focus on. As soon as you enter the classroom, choose one student to observe closely and try to sit close to this student so that you can see his or her face. Observe this student at 5 minutes intervals and make a record of what you notice. Okay, so 5 minutes, and then after that, activity in progress. What is the student saying, doing? Is he or she involved in the task? Comments and questions to discuss with your mentor. So after 10 minutes, after 5, 10 minutes. Why? The purpose is to see what is called. It's called classroom dynamics. So you are seeing if the students are being involved or are they being bored. Let's use this sajja as we use it in Arabic. Are they being involved with the teacher or are they being bored and therefore they sit back and then not participating? So, and therefore, on the basis of that, you can notice what are the elements you, as a future teacher, you can rely on more for involving more your students, right? And of course, you note down the other side, negative side, and try to, get rid of them or not to use them very frequently, okay? So this is another way of observing your classroom, focusing on classroom dynamics. And then, of course, after this, with the help of your mentor, you can discuss, a few minutes of discussion. Okay, so what percentage of classroom time did his student spend concentrating on his or her work, etc. Now, this is another way of doing classroom dynamics. You can refer to it later on, okay? Because we have spoken about classroom dynamics, but you can have different ways of observing this. I gave you an example, but when I give you this booklet, you can have a look at it on your own, okay? Now for homework, another dimension you can observe how the teachers handle dealing with homework. It's a very sensitive area, with very useful, very important area as well. This is an ongoing project which you should start after the first couple of lessons of your observation period. It takes time. So you're not going to finish with it just in one class, because you have to watch out the teacher how he manages his homeworks throughout a number of lessons, okay, in order to come up with a clear idea. In each lesson, sorry because I had a cold and then my voice is not that good, okay. In each lesson, take notes about the way your mentor gives and corrects homework. Towards the end of your observation period, please write down, coming back to portfolios, your reports. Write down what you have learned and how this will influence your approach to setting homework and providing feedback on it. Okay? How this, what you have been doing now for observing the teacher handling homework, how it will help you, be better at dealing with this with your students in the future. For example, homework, so you have first class, second class, third class, fourth class, etc. And then you can have the categories you can focus on. You're not going to focus at everything, of course. This is one of the ways how dealing with this issue of observation using observation tasks is very nice and interesting. It helps you focus and you will not be lost. Yes, I'll come into the class. What am I going to? You will be lost. But if you focus, you will be better observing, okay? So, time spent preparing students for homework. Okay, how much time does the teacher give to that? You just, 5 minutes or something like that. Is the task relevant to the student's personal and language learning needs? Personalization, la personnalisation. Now, in business, they focus a lot on this, la personnalisation de la vente, okay? Now, how does the teacher prepare the students for the task? How does the teacher prepare the students for the task? Preparation, does he prepare them or just let's go? Is the class attentive while the teacher sets the homework? Are they interested? Next lesson, observe the form of feedback, oral or written, whole class, individual, different types of providing feedback for the homework. Teacher can choose one of these. Either he can provide oral feedback in the next class, or can provide a written one. Whole class, yes, I noticed that for everybody. And then individual, focusing on the individual students. So you try to provide, okay, some comments in there. Did this approach produce interesting and valuable results? How will these findings influence your future teaching, etc.? So those are some of the questions you can reflect on in your personal report. Another category you can focus on is giving instructions. Giving instructions. Okay? So you know that instructions is also a very sensitive area. So just to, refresh our minds about the role of instructions, we have something in here. Instructions must be kept as simple, short, and clear as possible. A clear voice, something that usually teachers don't rely on, don't pay attention to. Use a clear voice, etc. Appropriate body language, good eye contact, and the use of visual aids all help instruction giving. In addition, Scribner, 1994, proposes the following steps for giving clear instructions. Don't say things that are visible or obvious. Example, I'm giving you a piece of paper. Okay, it happens sometimes when you are too busy. Yeah, you can never. But you should pay attention not to say that. Don't give instructions, okay, that you don't need to know at this point. Separate instructions from other chit chat. Separate instructions from other chit chat. Students speaking, okay, and then you are speaking as well. No. Create a silence beforehand. Make eye contact with as many students as possible. Okay, don't be afraid to do that. For the beginning, usually teachers who are in the beginning, they are afraid to do it. This is for public speaking in general. Okay? Usually people are afraid of doing eye contacts, especially at the beginning of before starting your presentation or your teaching. Don't be, yes. Yeah, afraid of being asked questions. Yeah, it's okay, but you have to do it. You do it. Not everybody. I don't think that everybody will be doing that way, but you can do. Yes.
Sometimes when the teacher asks a question and it's kind of challenging, you look at the faces and everybody.
Someone comments.
Yeah. So this is after the instructions.
After the instructions.
I'm talking about before instructions. Before you start, okay? Before you start, and even if you are giving instructions, yeah, you know how to be, you should know how to use eye contact, Yeah, you have to look gentle when you're doing eye contact. You have to look inviting, these kind of things. Inviting for others to when you are doing eye contact, okay? You have to be smiling when you okay, like when you are doing eye contact. So you have to be positive about your eye contact, okay? To avoid these kinds of issues.
Even eye contacts are very powerful tool in teaching because you can either, with eye contact, encourage a student or threaten a student.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And also, sometimes you shouldn't do eye contact. Okay? To avoid something, don't do it. Now, sometimes it is advisable not to do eye contact. By the time you can manage that, okay? Let me go on. Find an authoritative tone and make sure they are listening before you start. Use silence and gestures to space the instructions and clarify their meaning. Demonstrate rather than explain wherever possible. Check that they have all understood what to do. Don't assume that everyone will automatically understand what you have said. Getting one or two students to tell you what they are going to do is one very simple way of doing this. So this is just a kind of, refreshing our memories about how to give instructions. Now, I'm going to ask you, so this is a kind of task. Have a look at it, okay, for some time. Then we discuss it again.
So, is there a possibility that we can join the
Zoom, yeah, of course. There is this, of course. It's okay? Okay. So, observe the instructions the teacher gives during the lesson and complete the table. For each skill, decide how successfully it was achieved and write your questions for post-lesson consultation in the right-hand column here, discussion points. So have a look, please, at these categories here. Instruction, giving skills, okay, and then okay. Signaling, start of activity. So you have to provide your feedback. Clear, not clear, and clear. So you can evaluate, okay, but not evaluate, but you just make a remark, okay. Was it clear? Use of simple language, use of short sentences, logic and clarity, and then it's etc. Okay, so this is so. Then some questions that can help you provide your report and writing your reflections. Evaluate the instruction given that you observed. Please use the empty space, etc. In your opinion, which three elements made it successful on the basis of your observation, of course? Okay, you can have here discussion points. You can include that there. What are the most important factors for you personally when giving instructions? What will you incorporate into your own teaching after doing this observation task? Okay? I'm going to skip this one. It's related to the same category, asking questions. Yeah, it's within more or less same category, asking questions or giving instructions. Yeah, so you can read it on your own later. Okay. Now, another category, wait time, which is very important. Wait time. An important dimension of teachers' questioning skills is wait time. This is the length of time the teacher waits after posing a question and before calling a student to answer it, or rephrasing the question, etc. Teachers often, here is the issue, teachers often use a very short wait time, only 1 second or on average, which is rarely sufficient to enable students to respond. Why? Why do you think usually teachers do this?
Teachers are afraid of silence.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Because sometimes like teachers actually they don't look like the position of the students. They forget about that.
Yeah, for sure.
Teachers are asking the answer and anyway, so they forget that the students are in a different position.
Yeah, so you don't put themselves in the position of the students, okay? And also you have said, this is the most common reason, afraid of silence, Yes?
These teachers most generally are hasty of having the answer because of the pressure of time, because of the pressure of the length of the
Yes,
program.
yes.
So they need to go over, they want to go over the maximum.
Cover the color.
Yeah.
Cover the color.
That's why they don't give enough time for this.
Yes, right. Yeah, good. And usually it is afraid also of silence. Yes, teachers. Okay, yes.
Also, disruptive behavior emerges from that silence.
Yes. This is one of the reasons they are afraid of silence. Okay, afraid of having some disruptive emerging. Okay, yeah, possibility. But also the other questions of being afraid, hasty about covering the curriculum. Okay, yes.
And also, when silence prevails, some teachers misinterpret that silence as students don't know the answer. That's why they hastily provide the response.
Yes, right. Yeah, that's right. So, some of the things you can do. So, measure the teacher's wait time and fill in this table. Okay. Teacher's question, length of time or wait time, and then students' response. Was it good? Was okay or not okay? So, what was the average wait time? Average. You have to calculate the kind of average wait time. Usually, the teacher waits 1 minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or what? So, what is the average time usually he does? Wait for the students to give answers.
According to the languages, the minimum is 5 seconds.
Should be.
Should be.
Yes. The minimum should be 5. Yes. Right. Theoretically speaking. And then we have to see what goes on in practice. Okay. Now, are there any types of activities where an extended wait time might not be desirable? Maybe some types of activities don't need a long wait time, so short wait time is enough, depending on the activity itself. Can wait time adversely affect the dynamics of a lesson? Does one factor exclude the other? Please discuss these points with your mentor. Okay? Pacing. So pacing is one way in which momentum is achieved in a lesson. Richards 1990 identifies pacing as one of the most significant features of a teacher's lessons. Deciding how much time to allocate to each part of the lesson is an important decision which teachers must make while planning or teaching a lesson. So your lesson plan, you should provide, estimated time for each part of your lesson plan. These are important decisions since teaching involves monitoring to the extent to which students are engaged in learning tasks. Teachers have to decide when it is time to move on to another activity. This should always be before the attention of students begins to fade, etc. So, what you can do as a task to observe this, familiarize yourself with the table below. Write up a lesson report, a list of the main features of the lesson, and add your comments and questions on pacing. So, the teacher made or the mentor makes his plan. So you are going to provide your report about the teacher's plan, lesson plan. So the activity, draw arrows from activities to commands, and then commands and questions. Students became bored, the activity finished early, etc. Student talk time. Another area that you can observe, should be maximized for sure, not what I'm doing now. Okay? Observe the length of the utterances the students make. Okay? Tick a box each time a student says something in English and put a circle around the box when the utterance is meaningful, real, and not just artificial classroom language, okay? So, okay, so this is one way of calculating the student talk time. Another way of calculating the student talk time is referring to classroom discourse. Discourse, yes, which we are going to see later on in our class, Discourse for ALT. So classroom discourse, we have its own ways, Sinclair and Coulthard. Sinclair and Coulthard were some of the basic people who devised their own division of classroom discourse into turns, into feedback, initiation, response, okay, and follow up. We will see that, okay, the details when we come to that. And it's one of the ways that you can use for evaluating or calculating, okay, classroom discourse and student talk time or teachers talk time. The other way is simply using timing. Timing. You calculate the time. You have a calculator, but this is usually done by the researchers. Okay, you have a timer and then you calculate. You stop to the teacher, and then it's very demanding, but it's one of the ways. Okay, but you have to, yes, it's demanding, right? Okay, yeah. Recording, okay. Okay, you're not going to calculate everything, okay? So just to have an idea, okay? Just to have an idea. Okay. Academic learning time. Okay. Unplanned classroom language. In the past few years, interest in teacher talk, now referring back to teachers, interest in teachers talk has shifted away from a concern with quantity towards a concern with quality. Kodarat and Harris, 1998, argue that chatting or social English is an important kind of teacher talk and has a significant role to play in bringing our classrooms to life. Because when you are teaching, usually it's academic language you are using. In my publication that I gave you last time, I refer to them as literacy, okay, literacy-related events. Literacy-related events, in which is very academic, the language is very standard, etc. There is distance from the teacher rather than approaching the students, etc. But it is recommended now that teachers should refer to social language, informal in other ways, informal, some kind of informal interaction that should take place in the classroom setting. Why? Because it is estimated that it can give life to the classroom, okay? And I think it does. It does. Now the problem lies with the students. If you have large number of students, and you are too much obsessed with classroom management to avoid problems of discipline or whatever, so you tend to be very formal to put an end to that. But in small classes, usually 50, 40, 30, okay? It's okay. You can manage from time to time to do social, informal language. Teachers and their trainers should give more priority to chatting in their repertoire of classroom activities. Unplanned, these are unplanned situations. These are unplanned situations. You don't put them in the lesson plan, right? These kinds of events. You don't put them in the plan. They appear. And these, I don't remember the term that they use. There are very important moments. There's a very nice technical term that doesn't come to my mind now. These are moments of opportunity. Moments of opportunity for teachers and students as well, to promote learning and to promote teaching. The term doesn't come to my mind. So that's it, okay? Teachers should give more priority to chatting in their repertoire of classroom, please, activities. Unplanned situations or unstructured activities can sometimes create more effective, natural, and memorable. Can create more effective, natural, and memorable. Usually students remember those moments, okay? Communicative opportunities than well-planned communicative activities. In the longer term, in most classes, a greater awareness of distinction between real questions and display questions and greater capacity for responding to the expected, unexpected, and to student communication will help to produce a natural balance between planned and unplanned teacher-student interaction. Because the previous section here, it talks about planned, okay, academic learning, planned, etc., and also the other one we have seen. So here, one way of observing this area of classroom discourse is over a number of lessons, collect classroom data about spontaneous language use. Discuss your findings, questions, and opinions with your mentor. Opportunities for chat. Are they missed or are they used by the teacher? Length of the chat, how much time? Maybe 1, 2, 3. Okay. Discussion questions with your mentor. Something you can discuss later with your mentor.
And sometimes the unplanned situations give you, as a teacher, the opportunity to present new vocabulary.
Yeah.
Let's use
Yeah, that's exactly it is. This is what we have here.
But sometimes the academic setting does not allow presenting those kinds of
Yes. So this kind of informal classroom discourse, I refer to them as classroom discourse, they create more effective, natural, and memorable communicative opportunities for the students. They promote it more, and they can take them, okay, easily. So this is one thing. The use of mother tongue, okay, an issue, okay, that should be investigated, by the way. It's one of the nice topics of MA. Very nice topic for MA, and that can help a lot. If you want somebody who wants to change. You are doing classroom discourse? Code switching? Yeah, good. And who is your supervisor? School, yeah, okay. We can, it's a very nice one, okay. We will talk about it. I can help with that. No reason to worry. It's about because you remember the publication I gave you. It's about code switching, but in primary school. Okay, so anybody can use the same research methodology. Okay, for investigating code switching. Okay, in high school or middle school. Okay. Middle school middle school might be more. Maybe you can investigate it too, in order to differentiate. Is it decreasing or is it increasing or is it stable? Okay, the code switching from from English to the mother tongue or the vice versa. And also, you can investigate the different types of contexts where the code switching takes place, because you can, according to my article, I divided classroom discourse into events, because if you go to events, you can notice that there are events that are quite informal, like open the door, shut the door, sit down, etc. And then there are other events that are literacy related events, like teaching, for example, reading, when they are teaching reading, qira'ah. The language of the teacher tends to go further into the language of standard Arabic and avoiding Moroccan Arabic. The same thing can be applicable for English. Okay? So there are different types of events. This is the first thing that can be done. Okay? Divide the classroom sitting on. I will send you again the article in order to get those events. There are 4, I guess. I put 4 in there. And then you calculate the number of units or language units spoken. Those spoken in English, and you calculate how many sentences. What I mean by units? Sentences or utterances. Sometimes they are just utterances. You calculate like 5. As an example, it could be something like 100 in literacy-related events in English. and only maybe 10 units could be in Arabic, okay, or French. But when going on to those informal, okay, situations, informal situations like open the door, sit down, or chats, social, okay, chats, the language differs in the sense that you're going to see the teacher maybe referring more to more Arabic or French, and the number of sentences in English being less than that, than those in literacy-related events. Okay? So this is one of the ways to, okay? So, use of mother tongue. This is a very simple way of observing this. Okay? But you can have others. So teachers use the chart to help you record data about the use of mother. Ask your mentor his or her views on the issue. Now let's go and have a look at this evaluation. Evaluating written work. Ask two teachers for permission to collect, okay? Two teachers for permission to collect the students' exercise books. Before asking the students, ask for permission from the teacher, from the mentor, okay? There are a number of things I skipped about how to behave in the beginning, but you can find them in the very beginning, the introduction. You can refer to them. Yes, ideally the students should be of the same age and language level. What do you learn about their teaching style from the quality of the students' written work? When you get the students' work, paper, books, or copybooks, you can have an idea about the teacher's learning style. What correction assessment techniques do they use? Symbols, etc. Okay? What do they exercise? There is some tradition that you should learn from teachers in providing feedback, evaluation for written work. For those symbols, you need to learn them. What correction, okay, what do the exercise books tell you about the teacher's own views about teaching? Okay, it can give you about does he hate teaching or does he like teaching? Okay. Blackboard work. Blackboard work. So we have the Blackboard is teacher's most traditional resource. Organized Blackboard work is a basic skill. The use of a blackboard is not something just random. Okay? Did you do that? Okay, so good. So you have to organized Blackboard work is a basic skill which helps students learn and organize their own work. Task at 2 points during the lesson. At 2 points. Copy the board's contents in the tables. This is the board, okay? You're going to copy and put it in here, okay? And then the second time, copy and then put it in here. Questions that you can ask in order to help yourselves about reflecting and thinking about this and discussing with your mentor is, what did the teacher use the board for? Did he or she use it effectively? How did he or she organize her work? And what were the students doing while the teacher was writing on the board? Very important. Okay. What? Yes?
While I was doing my training in Robotics, I had a professor because in that school, it's not the students who change class, but it's the teachers who change classes. It depends, because there are some institutions who choose that way, and other institutions who choose the students to change the classes. Anyways, and there were some teachers who would not clean the board after they finish, and the other teacher who would come, he would find the board completely
yes, full.
Rich,
Completely rich.
He would clean only a small part where he is going to write. And when many teachers who wouldn't clean it too. So by
The other
end,
teacher
by
has
the
to.
end of the day, you are going to find on the board 5 or 6 subjects written. You are going to find mathematics somewhere, philosophy somewhere else.
Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
these are very old teachers. They are not new teachers.
This is related to the teachers, okay? The teachers, this is usually an issue, okay? So for you as future teachers, and for you who are already teachers, please do clean the blackboard for you. Yes? You have this problem? I always have it too. I have it too, yes. Yeah, but personally, I hate to do that. Yeah. And also another thing I don't like to do, if I find something like that, I don't ask the students to come and come. Never. I never do that. Ask the students, yes, can you come and clean? No. خليها ولا I just do it by myself if I want to use the blackboard. So now I'm resorting more to data show. Instead of using the blackboard, I use data show and use everything in here. Okay? So since talking about data show and logistics, let me feed my computer. Okay. Yes. And this one? No, there isn't here. Okay. So, oral oral correction techniques. Please, we continue. Use the chart to help you record data about how the teacher corrects. As you hear a mistake being made, put the sentence in the appropriate column. Ibrahim? Yes? Following? So, teacher did not correct this mistake. Teacher corrected this mistake automatically. What kind of mistake was it? And teacher signaled for self-correction for this mistake. Here. Teacher invited peer correction here. So you have to provide your comments on that. The plan and the lesson. The lesson plan. Okay, so one way of observing and the lesson plan. So class, teacher, date, anticipated. These are also important details, okay? Important details to keep in mind. Anticipated difficulties and this is for the teacher planning. And then time, how much time did he spend on that? This activity, objectives. So it's like you are doing a report of his or her plan. Okay? That's the. And then what the teacher says, does, grouping, materials needed. Okay? So, and then you have to. It's okay? You understand? It's the plan. Yes?
I said the plan is available. This plan is available.
Uh-huh.
Teachers don't-
Yeah, no. That's paperwork. That's paperwork. Now, what would like to investigate here, to observe here, what happens in the class. Yeah, normally the teacher should do all this, okay, in paper. That's a good thing. That's what the inspectors look for, okay. But in reality, there might be something else going on, okay. So we have to observe the reality. Yeah, exactly. Provide a report. For example, the first activity, how much time did he spend on it? Okay, and objectives, and then etc. Okay, so you are providing a report on the teacher's actual what happened, okay, performance, okay. Okay. Now, one of the things you need to do in your during your training is the portfolios, different types of portfolios. Hopefully, you will just make them also e-portfolios, electronic. Guidelines. One of them is a teaching journal. Your teaching, okay, journal where you provide your own reflections and thinkings and problems and developments and etc. The following questions have been provided to help you evaluate your work. You are not required to answer each and every. Okay, let me read this first part. Now that you have started teaching, because at a later stage, the first stage of your training will be observation. So we have done a number of tasks in relation to that. The next stage will be that you will be teaching. Okay, so of course that's what you will be reflecting on in here, in this teaching journal. This means that after you have taught a lesson, you should attach your afterthoughts and reflections to the lesson plan. Okay, the file you build up in this way will be your teaching journal. This will serve as a useful record of the important features of your lessons and will help you monitor your teaching. Okay? Yes, you want to say something? Question? No? Okay. General questions. Okay. Do you have any feelings about the lesson that you would like to express first? Maybe you like something. Okay. Start with the things you like. Choose a lesson or unit that you like.
Sometimes even a negative feeling. Sometimes you teach a class, the lesson was quite excellent, and then the next class you teach the same lesson, and then you feel that something went wrong with that lesson.
This is for for sure. This is for the afterwards, when you get the habit of teaching. You get this, okay? Well, here it is related to the very first, okay? First, when you're training, so it's very first step, So you better choose the one that you like, okay? And then because you are going to work on it better, you like it, and your emotions, personal feelings will be better. Yes?
Also, in the teaching journal, like towards the end, the teacher is training. One, for example, can talk about, for example, the most successful lesson, the least successful lesson, and what are factors, for example, that contributed to the success.
Yes. That's also, you can, this is general, very general observation, okay?
Yes.
Yeah. But you can use this and then...
Yeah, it's like this slide, like toward the end.
Yeah, as a reflection.
Yeah.
I noticed that these are the main successful types of activities that I noticed the students were much more involved and the class was much better and more successful, etc. Okay, but of course, as you have said, it is afterwards you are going to notice that sometimes something you don't prepare goes well better than something that you prepare. Something that you don't like can work. Yeah, you can have things like this afterwards, okay? How did you feel while you were teaching? What problems did you encounter and how did you feel with them? Okay? These are some of the things that will help you in your reflection. Better to have these questions by your side all the time, and then when you want to write your and then you answer. Rather than just sitting down from scratch and you have your screen with an empty page and then you want to write, or a paper you want to write. You'd better have these things. They give you inspiration to start and to go ahead, okay? The planning. On the difference, again, you can provide feedback on the different aspects of the lesson, okay? The planning. How useful was the plan? In retrospect, was your lesson prepared thoroughly? Did you prepare your lesson plan before you go? Did you read about the topic you are going to discuss? Something that is important. What difficulties did you anticipate before in your preparation? You can anticipate some of the problems, yes? Okay. Did these areas prove difficult to, or were there others? You anticipated something and then you found other things. Okay. Yes. Did your students learn from this lesson what you expected them to learn or something different? Give reasons for any differences. Did you depart from the plan? If so, why was this necessary? You know, depart from the plan. You know, okay, like a social chatting, or or instead of talking about your main topic or questions, you use others, etc. Instead of using one kind of logistics, you use another. Yeah, something that. Did the timing go according to plan? Your timing, did you according to plan? Your lesson plan, you provide the timing. Did you follow this? Was okay? Was there logical and smooth linking of the stages? Yes, very important as well. How worthwhile were the activities? Were they useful activities for the students? Personalized? The students, they like them and they feel they are talking about themselves, and okay? Write down any evidence that your activity was successful or unsuccessful. You have to collect some evidence for that, okay? Evidence. Evidence usually the kind of interaction. Usually the kind of answers, okay? The answers in class, or answers for homework, or answers for whatever, okay? Attitudes as well, yeah. Yeah. So here is this chart you can use as well. Activity grade 1 to 5. Okay, use your own grades. Why was it successful, unsuccessful? How could you improve or replace it? Okay? So here you have all the time, whenever you have something, you have the reference, which is important. So mentor courses, Cambridge University Press. The lesson. Was the lesson well structured? Did it have a clear beginning, a logical procession, and a sense of an ending? Was there enough variety in the lesson? Variety, okay, very important. Did it have rhyme and flow? Like music. You should be sometimes a musician, okay? In your way you speak and the tone of your classroom, the classrooms can have different tones, okay, not tones of but tone in the sense of impressions, in the sense of intuitions, in the sense of yeah, and you are the maestro of that tone, okay. So this is very important to keep in mind. Did it have what were the most effective parts? Some parts were effective, maybe others were not effective. Give your reasons. Were your instructions clear? And how are you going to notice that? If the students' reactions, okay? What classroom arrangement did you use? What will you do next to follow up this lesson? Okay? The students. Did the students work well for you? Were the students involved or not involved, and why? Estimations. Did the students have a fair share of time to talk? Share between the students. You have to be equal, fair with all of them. Sometimes you have to be pushy about those who are too quiet. Okay. Yes. Did you provide a high level of active practice for all learners? Write down something that a pupil said where language was used meaningfully. Which questions provide a thoughtful answer? Were the activities at an appropriate level? Okay. And then how did you keep the students interested and motivated? What are the things you have tried to use? Okay. Did you encourage learner participation? In what ways were you responsive to the students' needs? How did you give learners feedback on their efforts? Would you do anything differently if you taught this lesson again? What have you learned? Okay? For your teaching journal. So this is another element you have to bear in mind, okay? You keep with you. And you will be required to handle it with your report. Okay? To hand it, not to handle it, to hand it with your report. In your report, you will have many sections. In the appendix, you will include your teaching journal. Did you hear me? Huh? A report, and then as part of your report, you have the appendices. Appendices, what are you going to do? The types of observational tasks you have included. Examples of observational task 1, 2, 3. Your with handwritten. With your handwriting. No, with your handwriting. I like traditional in this one. I don't like to be digital about this, okay? With your handwriting. So very authentic feedback, okay? Okay, so your observation tasks, you print them, of course, but then you fill it them, okay, how you use them, and then in the appendices. Part of the appendices will be your teaching journal. Okay, your teaching journal. Handwritten. Handwritten. Okay, I'm going to be permissible about this one. Yes, you can type it and then print it, okay? Because this one, you know, it needs a lot of changing and, you know. Okay, so you can type it, okay, but the observational tasks you can hand them as they are, because in the class you have printed the observational and then you take your comments. You provide that as it is, okay. So general impressions of your teaching. Part of your report, okay. Video, audio, video recording. Audio, video recording. Okay? You need to get the help of your classmates, because you will not be one in a class. You will be maybe two in a class. Okay? Okay? With a one mentor. So in that case, the other one records you. Okay? Video. Okay? Video recording. Is it okay? So that one also should be provided, okay? So audio and video are valuable sources of accurate. Why? Why? They are invaluable. You know what it means, invaluable? Can you explain the word invaluable? Yes? Sources of accurate information on the actual teaching process, as they provide objective first-hand, so they are very useful. Okay, and I guess you know the recording of your presentations in psycholinguistics class. I put them on YouTube, so you can refer to them. Okay, so just listen to yourself, and I'm sure it really opens another horizon for development, including for me myself. When I'm doing this, it's all the time keeps growing, helping me better. Okay? Just please do it. They can be used to obtain general impressions. And also, another thing that always occurs is that usually things miss. Okay, you miss things. Okay? But when you have the video, you have them at home, you can tête reposée, just take notes of your reflections and, okay? They can be used to obtain general impressions, or alternatively to focus on specific concerns such as teacher talk, referring to the idea of calculating the teacher talk to student talk. Video can be, a video recording can help about that. You can't do it in class, okay? Very demanding sometimes, usually very demanding. But with the video recording, it can help you, okay, at home. Naturalistic interactions and verbatim utterances. Although this presence of the video recorder is intrusive, yes, and may contribute to substantial changes in regular behavior patterns, we would strongly recommend its use for teacher training purposes. And of course, if you do it with your friend with whom you are doing the training. Before you agree, yes, take this small camera, try to hide it, don't make it so apparent, neither for the teacher. Yeah, but of course you take permission from the teacher, okay, and then you record discreetly, okay, not very like Hollywood movie, okay. Task, okay. So ask for permission from your mentor and the students to make a video recording of your teaching. Video 20 minutes of your lesson on a tripod, on no camera operator. Okay, these are logistic details. Review the tape in private and ask yourself the questions in the table below. Recapture how you felt when you were teaching during the recording. Ask your students for their views on that part of the lesson. So this chart can help about reflections. Do I like the person I think I am? Do I like? Usually no. No, yes, first time. When you listen to yourself, usually don't. By the time it doesn't disappear, it never disappears, okay? That's one of my conclusions. But it decreases to some extent, okay? Decreases to some extent. Do I look the teacher I think I am? Maybe no. Maybe yes sometimes, maybe no. Am I behaving in ways I think I behave? One of the things I heard that I noticed about myself teaching, usually okay, lots of okay. I noticed about myself. But then how can I do to solve this? Okay, it's something like a marker for me. You know, markers in classroom in discourse. It's like a marker. You know. Yeah, you can change, but you can reduce. Okay, but then it's okay.
If it is too much, the students are going to call us
Mr. Okay.
nickname.
Yes. Yeah. So, how are you going to do that? Now, if you weren't listening to yourself, would you notice that? Wouldn't. But by our recording, you notice that, and you try by the time to control and to reduce. Take hand of it. No, but you should take. But it's true. It is very, very true. Okay.
Because we had a teacher of French in the lycée who used too much nespa. And in one session, I tried to count how many nespas he said, and I found that 72 in 50 minutes. So in one session.
Yeah. So you have to be controlled.
Everybody is calling him nespa, not in front of him, of course.
Yes, of course.
But behind him.
Yes. So be careful. Okay. So therefore, in order to help yourselves, this is one way to do it. Record yourselves.
And it's called manilism.
It's called
manilism.
manilism.
It's linguistics, expressions that you unconsciously tend to repeat.
Yeah.
That's manilism.
But practice and recording helps you, to take control of that, which I'm doing right now. Now I'm trying to, to reduce that. What mannerisms are evident? Mannerisms, manners, this style. Okay. Yes.
The way also you behave.
Yeah. It's personality factors here. Okay. So be careful about that as well. Do I want? And these things you can't notice if you just do it all the time without video recording, right? But when you do video recording, it helps you, okay? You watch yourself so you can. Do I want to modify the image I have of myself? Did I learn anything unexpected? What things have I learned from this analysis? So you can provide your reflections.
Are we supposed to hand in a CD of the recording?
It depends on you, what you like. So. But it would be better. I would love to have them, okay? To have them as memories for the students, okay? But then if you are too traditional and you don't want to keep that with you, so okay, no worries for me. Use of voice, okay? One of the things you can also look at in your training. One of the teacher's chief tools is the voice. It's your tool. It's your main logistics. The way we speak has a crucial impact on our students. Listen to a recording of your lesson and assess the quality of your speech. This is how you can manage to evaluate yourself, your voice. You can't manage to evaluate it just doing it and then no. You have to listen to yourself.
It's
Okay?
one of the first things that we have been criticized in teacher training.
Yeah.
Centers, okay? The first thing that you receive from the first training is your voice projections. Most of us, okay?
Yeah. Normal, and it's normal. Yeah. So, and it's something that has to be trained as well. Okay. So, some of the things you can keep in mind about your voice. Okay. Points to consider. How did I sound? Clear, expressive, lively. You can add here boring. Pronunciation. Did I have problems with any vowels or consonants? Rhythm. Was I too slow or too fast? Audibility. Was I too loud or too soft? It happens to me as well. I noticed one of the things I noticed. Hey, I already had it, but I knew it. But it becomes clear to me in my lectured or recorded lectures is when I have more. No, for you it's okay, usually the case. But for the fundamental, when I have more presence, yes, it goes up. It's like I'm like I'm speaking with Obama without phone. Okay, but so you have to. This is one of the ways you can monitor that. Another thing that I also noticed, it makes the voice louder if you haven't prepared really well your presentation, what you're going to talk about. Yes, it has to do with self-confidence and so on. I noticed that sometimes, we are human beings. Sometimes we are too busy with something else. We don't prepare as we should. Huh? Yes, louder. If you are not well prepared, it becomes louder. I know, personally. Okay? I don't know, personally. Yes, I noticed that. And then, yes, but it has to do with self-confidence, this one. Because when you are not self-confident, it's... with the voice. No. It's just something that goes on automatically. Your voice tends to be louder. Like you want to give them the impression, yes, I am doing well. Okay? But when you are well prepared and your self-confidence is much better, you can notice this in yourselves as well. Your tone and your voice is, okay, musical. Okay? Very nice. Okay, so this is something to...
It depends again. It depends again on the teacher.
Yeah,
For
sure.
So sometimes you find, for example, for me,
Yes.
my voice, you can hear it from the entrance.
Yeah, that's something,
You
yeah.
have to reduce your voice. You're going to damage your
Yeah.
Okay, so it depends again how the person
Is. Yes. I agree with you. Totally agree with you because this is also applicable for me as well. In my classes, already, my voice is loud. But then if I don't prepare well, that's something. But there are others who are by tone, by nature, their voice is so low, and also it depends on the temperament as well of the person. Okay. Asma is very open. So audibility, okay. Audibility, was I too loud or too soft? Intonation, did I sound interesting or adult? Did I vary the pace and volume of my voice where appropriate? Did I have any problems with stress in individual words or sentences, etc.? So, and then you have other, okay, aspects, Blackboard Work, not aspects, but or you can have sometimes other aspects still here, but also other observational tasks you can use for, like here you have, okay. So I'm going to hand this, let me see this one, okay.
Is it possible to share?
Yeah, it is going to be shared. I'll share it with you. You can find it online to that website I gave you. You can find it. And then I'm going to share it with you, of course, on the Facebook group. After teaching a class, when the mentor didn't come in.
You feel more comfortable.
Huh?
You feel more comfortable.
For more comfortable.
Yes, like when nobody like is observing you.
Yes, for sure, yes. I personally, I don't like to be observed by somebody else. Okay?
The majority of teachers don't
Yeah, I don't like, yes.
Even for the students, okay, their behavior changes.
It's good if someone
Yes.
Once, when you remember the teachers.
This is what I always had from my students before. In the lessons professionnelles, they tell me this.
I once watched a program on Teachers TV, and an inspector came to observe a teacher, and they discussed the observation before. And what they did in the UK classes is that they have, like, between each class and class, okay, they have those classes that they do police investigation. They have like that in an area, and students don't know that it's transparent because they cannot see what is behind.
Yes.
So the inspector
Like,
goes to that place
yeah.
and observe the class without even the students
Very
being
much
aware
better.
of what's
Much
happening.
better. Much better. Yes. Much better. Yes.
But it's not ethical. It's the problem. When you observe the situation.
Why not ethical?
There is a problem of the students when they don't know that they're being observed, they might behave in certain ways which
Yes.
that's what you want to observe.
But it's
That's what.
the teacher has a meeting, prior meeting with the inspector, and they say what are the areas that the inspector is going to investigate.
Yeah.
Or not
Yeah.
investigate, but to observe.
Okay. Let us finish with this, with final, reflections you can make. So towards the end of your teaching practice, ask yourself the following questions and answer them in space below. What do you feel are the most important things that you learned during your teaching experience, practice? What kind of relationship did you establish with your pupils? What kind of relationship did you establish with the staff? To what extent did you take part in school's activities other than your English lessons? Okay, as much as possible, of course. To what extent were you reliable, punctual, and well organized? Was your command of English sufficient? Keep an eye on that. Okay. What was the high point of your teaching practice for you? High point like la haute saison. Okay. For your teaching practice. Okay. 8. What are your strengths as a language teacher? What do you feel are your limitations at present? Do you think there are any inconsistencies in your teaching? Which aspect of teaching did you particularly enjoy? Teaching reading, teaching speaking, teaching writing, the group work, individual work. To which aspects of teaching do you need to give special attention in order to improve? And finally, quietly ask yourself, did I love teaching? Very most important one, okay? Thank you for working, okay? And wish you good luck about that, okay? I will share it with you, okay?